This is an Access Database tutorial on creating a table by Rashima Johnson, Liberty University, EDUC 631. The first thing you would want to do is to locate the icon for Microsoft Access. It may be on your desktop or you may need to access it through the Windows button. Go ahead and click the icon to open Access up. So once you get to this page, you would want to go ahead and select blank desktop database. Notice that Access didn't open into a blank document that you can edit like other programs. That's because Access is unique in that everything that you enter into the database is automatically saved. So if something happens such as you lose power, your computer shuts off, anything of that nature, whatever you entered into the database will still be there when you turn your computer back on and open that database back up. So let's go ahead and create a blank desktop database, and you'll notice that we're prompted to save it. Again, that's so that we're able to go ahead and enter data into it and have it saved automatically. So we do our saving of the document up front, not afterwards. So we'll save this as FSU courses, and we'll click create. And then we're brought to the page that we can go ahead and edit. So we're taken to a table, and of course the table is a primary access database. That's where all data that's entered into the database goes. So the table stores the data, and then we're able to manipulate the data using other access objects. So we've opened into the spreadsheet view, the data sheet view, where we're able to enter data, but we don't want to go ahead and start entering data yet. We actually want to go to the design view so that we can set up the way that our table will look. So we'll go into design view and we'll save the table so that everything that we do will automatically be saved. And we'll save it as spring courses. Here we are in design view. So the first field that we enter will be our primary key. Remember that our primary key is the one that uniquely identifies each record. So for instance, if a record pertains to a person, then the primary key would be something like that person's social security number. Only Each person has only one social security number, and each social security number belongs to only one person. So you won't have two people having the same social security number. That's the same thing that we want to do with our courses. Each course should have a unique CRN that identifies just that course. So CRN will be our primary key. So we'll name that field CRN, and we'll make that a number. And our next field will be department. And we're going to do something a little bit different with this field because it's going to be a text field, but what we want to do is we want to create options so that rather than having to type in the entries, we're able to choose an option from a list. So we're going to actually use the lookup wizard for this field, and it opens the lookup wizard dialog box, and we will select, I will type in the values that I want because we don't have another table or query that has the values that we need. Then we'll click next, and this little table comes up, and in column 1 we'll go ahead and enter the options that we want people to see when they're trying to enter data into the database. So we'll enter our options. We'll do biology, chemistry, education, English, and Spanish. We'll click next. We'll leave our label for our lookup field as department. And then it says, do you want to limit entries to the choices? We're going to check that box to limit to list because we don't want anybody typing in anything that's not supposed to be there. So they'll only be able to choose from the options in that list. The second question is, do you want to store, or the third question is, do you want to store multiple values for this lookup? We don't want to store multiple values because we don't want a course that could be, say, biology and chemistry. It's either biology or chemistry. So we're not going to check that box, and we're going to click finish. Notice that nothing happens, and that's perfectly fine. Do not panic. Nothing happens because we will see the list when we're in datasheet view actually entering data. So let's move on with creating our field names. The next field name is course number, and we'll make that a number field. After that, we have instructor. We'll make that a text field. And then we have location, and we'll make that a text field as well. So we've completed setting our table. So now we can go to the datasheet view to enter data. Before we get to that point, it will ask us to save the table, and we'll say yes. And what this is saving right now is the field names and the data types. Now that we're in the datasheet view, anything that we enter here will automatically be entered. So for instance, my first CRN number is 4568. Once I tab over to department, 4568 is automatically saved to the database. Here we go with our drop-down box under department, and there are the options that we typed in using the lookup wizard. So nobody has to type anything in here. They can just make a selection. I'll select biology for this one. I'll hit tab. We'll make that biology 110. The instructor will be Smith, and the location will be LS 109. We're going to try to enter the same CRN right here again just to see what happens. Remember, we set our primary key as CRN, which should not allow us to type the same primary key in twice for two different courses. So let's type 4568 again. We'll tab over. My second course is a chemistry course, so I'll choose chemistry, and that is chemistry 102. The instructor is Matson, and the location is LS 119. When I try to move on to the next record, I get an error message saying that I cannot create duplicate values. So that's what the primary key does. I can't type 4568 twice for two different courses. So I'll need to go back and fix that. So I'll change 4568 to 6166, and then I'll be able to move on to my next record. So I'll go ahead and enter just two more records. I'll enter, for instance, 8523. Which is an EDUC course. And what I'll do is I'll type in EDUV and try to move on. It won't let me because remember we restricted entries to just what was in the list. This is what I'm talking about, not allowing somebody to mistype something or put something in there that does not belong. So do you want to edit items in the list? No. What I'll do is I'll go to that list and choose the correct option, which is EDUC. It's EDUC 210. The instructor is Johnson, and that is in Butler 317. And I'll add another course. I'll make it my chemistry course, which is 9432. It'll be another chemistry course. This one will be chemistry 101. The instructor for that will be Peterson. And this one will be in JKSA 203. And the reason I added two chemistry courses is because once we move on to our query later on, you'll see how it works when we start to pull just the just the chemistry courses. So for right now, we have created our table, and the next tutorial will guide us through creating the form. Then we'll create the query and then the report. So we're done for this one.